1000 Roxbury Lane, or Roxbury Drive. It is the former house of Lucille Ball. The driveway. This is the former house of Lucille Ball. With large roads. This is 1000 Roxbury Drive, the former home of Lucille Ball of I Love Lucy. It's a beautiful gray and white modern colonial home with large rounded hedges. Out front, Lucy used to personally hand out candy right there to the trick-or-treaters on Halloween. That's the door where she used to hand out the candy.
Now, Lucille Desiree Ball was an American actress, comedian, model, studio executive, and producer. As one of Hollywood's greatest icons, she was the star and producer of sitcoms I Love Lucy, The Lucy Show, Here's Lucy, as well as the comedy television specials aired under the title The Lucy Desi Comedy Hour.
It's where she raised Lucy Arnaz and her son Desi Arnaz. We're going to walk around the side of the house.
Everyone loves Lucy, but the FBI did not love Lucy. Americans loved Lucy, but Uncle Sam never forgot that as a young woman, she declared herself a communist. Comedian Lucille Ball was hauled before Congress at the height of Senator Joseph McCarthy's communist witch hunt. During a 1953 investigation by the House of American Activities Committees, Ball admitted that she had registered to vote as a communist in 1936. But she said she did not appease her socialist grandfather, and that she was never an active member of the party. The committee forgave her, but J. Edgar Hoover never forgot. The FBI director continued to collect evidence about Ball, even though the FBI claims that it never officially investigated her. Our associate Scott Sleek obtained the Federal Bureau of Investigation secret file on Ball and her first husband, Desi Arnaz. The file contains memos stamped confidential and addressed to Hoover. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz Jr.'s divorce became final on May 4th of 1960. Now, she married Gary Morton on November the 19th, 1961. Morton claimed that he'd always busy working nights and had never seen his beloved series I Love Lucy. They were married on November 19th of 1961 and in the Marble Collegiate Church in New York City. Morton signed a prenuptial agreement to stifle rumors that he was a gold digger. Morton was 13 years younger than Lucille Ball. Interesting tidbits: Lucille Ball handed out candy on Halloween at 1000 Roxbury Drive. Jimmy Stewart grew sweet corn at number 918, and at number 1019, Rosemary including Jose Ferrar's kids sold lemonade to the tourists. With the Gershwins, Jack Benny, and Oscar Levents, they made Roxbury Drive the staunchest street in Beverly Hills and a true American neighborhood. Behind the house of 1000 Roxbury Boulevard, you can see the guest house, basketball courts, tennis courts, swimming pools, and Lucy even built a studio in one of the garages for when Lucille or Nez
Basketball
decided she
court,
wanted to
tennis
get into
courts.
acting, and they put on little stage productions there at the home. Um, it was unmistakable that the creaky sounds of America's most famous bad violinists came floating through the big white colonial house, and Jack Benny strolled into the dining room in the trademark gypsy scarf. The hostess, a redhead by the name of Lucille Ball, collapsed in laughter, and her husband, Gary Morton, offered the perennial 39-year-old a tip. Lucille Ball lived in the corner house, as you can see from the corner of Roxbury and Lexington, down to the back alley and around. So there was like an alley there. It was kind of interesting to see how big the property actually was. There was a backgammon room that Lucy, that was kind of like her getaway in the home, that she would kind of go and be by herself.
Lucille Ball's home.
She would just
She lived in
love that home. She started out living there with Desi Arnaz, and like I said, they divorced in 1960, and she married Gary Morton in 1961. Just walking around the property, you could feel the quietness, the neighborhood, the sense of community. You could even, if you listen closely, you could feel like you could hear Lucille Ball's laughter. You could feel her presence in the air. They said that most of the owners could feel like the ghost was haunted by the ghost of Lucy that has bought the home previously after her death.
Again, this is the former home of Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy. It's a beautiful gray and white modern colonial home with large rounded hedges that you saw on the side. And right there's a doorway where Lucy once handed out Halloween candy personally herself to the neighborhood kids. .602 lived. While she was waiting for her home down the street to be ready. Totally doing a brand new renovation.
Prior to moving into their home at 1000 North Roxbury Lane, they resided at 602 North Roxbury in Beverly Hills, just down the street. It was a sprawling 1926 Spanish-style mansion in Beverly Hills, a far cry from the humble little apartment that the Ricardos lived in on I Love Lucy. But this is where Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz stayed for a while in the 1950s while a house was being built for them a little bit farther down the road, says the Los Angeles Times. Inside, there's a formal entrance, a sunken dining room, picture windows, crown moldings, and French doors. The grounds included a guest house in the backyard and a five-car garage, as well as a giant deck overlooking the pool.